Okay. What in the world does the devil?
Must be on a list.
The devil does not want this show on tonight, y'all.
Yeah, hate it gonna hate.
Y'all don't even
That's
know.
all right.
I'll be right back.
Trying to make this show a golden chicken. We refuse.
The whole show is a golden chicken.
We rebuke it.
Look at this, y'all. I had to replace a whole computer on the fly. This thing. Apple!
You should have been here in studio. It's quite impressive.
Oh, I mean, I literally put together an entire day's show in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Here, while
awesome.
Lord have mercy.
I nominate you for an Emmy.
I need more than an Emmy. But
here, have some of this delicious coffee.
Give me some of that. Give me some of that.
Courtesy of Marlon and Ann Goodwin. We thank
Somebody's already saying they had to resubscribe to tonight as well. Oh, this show's going to be good, y'all. And I don't know how it's going to work out at this point, but we've got a special announcement, special guest tonight. That's all I'm going to say. If it works out, they might dial in. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, can you just talk for a minute so I can just breathe for a second?
This is what you get for trying to be a truth teller. Trying to be awake instead of woke.
Y'all, what's going on with this hurricane? This is crazy.
Right.
Let me just go ahead and go right now and just say, can you please just smash the like button tonight?
Please. If you do nothing else, smash the like button and send some love.
Smash it.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I literally just want to punch this screen. Y'all have no idea what I've been going through.
He did great, guys. He didn't break anything. He didn't throw anything. Major stress, but he's got us through it. So
for y'all that's coming in late just now finding out, my whole computer locked up and would not work.
It wouldn't do anything.
I had to literally go to my office, get another Mac, which has none of the settings for this show on it. Because this is in our studio. And I had to transfer quickly as much as I could just to get a show out. Y'all, it was a miracle.
Yep.
But we pulled it off.
You did it, babe.
We did it. Now, the night is young.
We want to go ahead and thank everybody for being here with us. And thank you, those of you who stuck around or took a break and came back, because it is 7:32.
Wait a minute. And let's also say, and I want you to hear me, YouTube algorithm, because I know you're listening to me. You know me. I had set this show up. I am getting ready I'm moving computers and all this, and you tell me I can't find the show. Some of our people are saying they can't find the show. I go to YouTube Studio, which I've done 1,000 times, and the show that I set up, I remember setting it up today, was gone. Thumbnail, show, everything was gone.
Look, they don't want this show happening tonight. They don't want this word getting out.
The whole show.
So they don't want you individually looking into things, researching, reading articles, talking to other people. They certainly don't want us collectively talking about this in this space, in this community tonight, because it is crazy. Okay, yesterday was Sunday, but I'm telling you, this storm was a Category 1 hurricane. And then this morning, not even a full 24 hours later, I think it was already a 4.
This is insane.
And now
it happened overnight.
Yeah, the intensification happened in just very short amount of time.
Well, can I just try to just
breathe. You do your breathing exercises.
I'm not doing yoga because that's all Eastern mysticism. I'm just breathing the way God designed me to breathe. And I'm breathing, and I'm going to go right into the news. And at any moment, hopefully, unless the AI little G gods out there are trying to stop it from happening too, we're going to have a special guest in a minute. And at any time, we'll go there. The National Weather Service. I need another drink of coffee. Hang on just a second.
Finish the bottle off. Just go ahead. Help yourself.
Lord have mercy.
Hey, Cliffy.
National Weather Service issues terrifying Hurricane Milton update as the extremely life-threatening storm is declared the worst in 100 years. And keep in mind, yesterday it was just barely a 1, and now it's going to be the worst in 100 years.
Yeah, and the day before that, they were saying, well, we don't know. We got to continue to watch this thing, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. Hurricane Milton is set to make landfall in Florida as a Category 5 hurricane on Wednesday morning. Some are saying downgraded to 3 or 4. Expected to be worse than Helene. 6 million residents are under hurricane watch warnings, as many have been ordered to evacuate as life-threatening 15-foot high storm surges and winds up to 175 miles per hour barrel in. The reason they're saying it's worse than 100 years, it says National Weather Service officials in Tampa Bay warned that the Hurricane Milton could be the worst storm to hit the city in 100 years. The storm is on track to make landfall on Wednesday morning with a warning of social media. This is from the National Weather Service in Tampa Bay. If the storm stays on the current track, it will be the worst storm to impact the Tampa area in over 100 years. Please evacuate if told to do so. Complete all prep. So let's just go straight into this. Everybody loves BP EARTHWATCH. This is the latest one that he had before chaos ensued in my studio.
So how long has this been out? Because I haven't seen this one.
This one's an hour ago.
Certainly haven't seen
I think he's probably publishing one even now as we speak.
Wow.
But this is the last one before everything fell apart for me. And if you're coming in late, you have no idea how blessed you are to be on this show. Satan!
October the 7th, 2024. Guys, are very quick.
My audio's not working. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to kill somebody dead.
Just the devil.
All right. Hang on. Hang on.
Escalating in speed and power. We may be looking at one of the hypercanes, and they may have to go to a Category 6 by this time next year. But right now, this is not coming up, but right 2024. Guys, a very quick update because this thing is quickly escalating in speed and power. We may be looking at one of the hypercanes, and they may have to go to a Category 6 by this time next year. But right now, this is not coming up, but right now we're looking at maximum sustained winds at 155 knots. See that? And guys, that is 178 miles per hour. Sustained winds, gust at 190 is 218.6 mile per hour gust. But guys, 155 knots sustained winds. Think about that. I mean, 178 mile per hour pressure coming into Florida. It's going to gust well above that. Again, they need to go into either a hypercane or at least add a Category 6. The weather's changing. The earth is tilting. Everything is changing. Again, this is the current information. Let's just kind of move down the scale.
Look at that.
155, 190 on the top end.
Look at the millibars.
You're 160 with 195 on the top end, guys. 160.
905.
We're looking at 184 mile per hour sustained winds.
Hello.
That's a hypercane. That's well above a Cat 5.
Stay with us, guys.
But with
Double duty over here.
195, you're looking at 224.4 mile per hour gust. Doesn't get, it slows down a little bit to 150 knots, 173 mile per hour sustained winds, and you're dealing with 185 knots. You're around 210 by on the gust at that point. It just keeps going down. And here inland. Now, another thing that has changed.
All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Do you love? Let's see. Where did I mute myself? Yeah. We love BP EARTHWATCH, and so how about this? We got BP EARTHWATCH on the phone right now.
How about you?
Calling in. BP, are you there?
Yes, Larry, how are you guys doing?
Man, we're doing great. What a
Doing good.
blessing to have BP Earthwatch. We
Yes,
were
it
actually
is.
watching one of your
Show some
videos.
love out there in chat. Come
Y'all
on.
better show some love for BP. Thank you, first of all, for all that you do and keep an eye.
Being a watchman.
You are a watchman
Yes.
in this moment. And there's nobody better to comment on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute your latest show, and I'm going to have it playing in the background so people can see it, so where you can go to subscribe to the Real BP Earthwatch. And so just give us a few minutes here of your time. Give us the latest update. What is the latest that you know, BP, of what is about to happen in Florida?
Well, we are looking at the storm rapidly going to 184 miles per hour sustained winds, Larry. And that's massive. With the gust going to 224 miles per hour. And the path, I just put in the coordinates on my map from the National Hurricane Center.
Right.
It's moving back just a little further north of Tampa, not much. It was kind of coming into the South Tampa Bay area, but now that's changed. I'm not saying that's where it's going to stay. We still have tomorrow to go through, and it's going to come in Wednesday evening. But if you think about it, I think we're breaking records going back to maybe 1844 when they had that big hurricane come in.
Yeah.
That actually tracked the same path. It started in the Bay of Campeche, stayed there a few days, and then looped back and came into very close to the same area in Florida.
Wow.
And if you look back into the newspaper articles from that date, they're saying it changed the coast forever of Florida.
Wow.
This thing could be stronger than that. Ian wiped out a lot of the area that this thing is approaching, but this one's stronger, Larry.
All right. So some people are saying they can't hear. Can you guys hear? I can hear in my earphones. It looks like.
Yeah, we can hear.
But I'm saying, hang on one second, BP.
Studio. Okay.
Everybody can hear you good. I think we're just hold 1 second. Give me somebody tell me if you can hear BP. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I need to know. I can hear you good. I think we're good. All right, so my are you hearing anything, Sandy? I mean, on the live chat. I mean, did anybody say anything about BP? I don't see any issue here. One person said they couldn't hear, but I think we're good. Everybody's saying everybody's good. All right, so here's my question,
I
BP.
pulled up my mic volume just a little bit in my studio, just in case. I just jacked it up a little bit there.
Thank you so much. It sounds great. All right, so one of the things that I was playing right when you called in was your video that you made on the Hypercane and the potential of what you thought was going to be that this hurricane could possibly even change the way they rate hurricanes. And I think you said they may have to add a category 6 after this. Do you think this is the beginning? Is this an isolated thing, or is this going to change even the way they rate hurricanes?
Well, I don't know if they will change their rating, but definitely we have to look at it differently. Larry, we have talked about in the last month about the tropical convergence zone moving north. And I think in one of my videos, and I think a couple of other people had it, we showed that the greening of the desert in Africa had moved north by 152 miles.
Yes.
And that was a month. And I think we're seeing the effects of that. You've got this storm coming in here, but we've got major storms that are just turning in the middle of the Atlantic, and the larger one is headed for Paris and London right now.
Wow.
And that's following that tilt, not only to the south, but an angle tilt. It's a lot of things going on right now, and I've been watching, Larry, I'm 68. I'll be 69 in about a month. 1964, I was in the 4th grade, and I was down in a place, some of you people some of your folks may remember, Buras, Louisiana. It's about 70 or 80 miles south of Louisiana. Going down that highway, you go down from New Orleans down through Port Sumter, Buras. And it was called Buras High School, but it had all the grades. Again, I was 4th grade. And we evacuated 80 miles south We were on the Mississippi River banks, and when Hurricane Betsy approached, we were glad we did because the levee down there broke, and there was a lot of flooding going on. And at that time, New Orleans had a lot of these electric trolley cars. I remember that as we were leaving, coming out of there, we came up to near Jackson, Mississippi, and waited out the hurricane for a couple of days. But when we came back, all of that was wiped out, and they kind of put up a couple. This is 1964 now, a kind of symbolic trolley cars. That's not the main means of transportation anymore. So at that young age, at that time I would have been 9, I watched these very closely. And then in '69, we had Camille, and my family were in construction. And so I was starting the first week of my 9th grade year in high school. And so we stopped it. I didn't go to school for that first week. I went down with a construction crew to Camille in '69. It was amazing to see. I've never seen anything like that, the way that it came in and the way it reacted until we had Katrina.
Wow.
So I've watched storm after storm all through these years. Even you're in Alabama, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In '79, I was living in Gulfport, and Hurricane Frederick came in.
Oh yeah, it's legendary.
And it did a number on Dauphin Island.
Yes, it did.
And so we had a friend of mine had a 36-foot sailboat in Biloxi, and he was about to start college in Fort Walton Beach. So he was going to stay on this 36-foot Columbia. So as soon as Frederick came in, we came out of Back Bay, Biloxi, headed towards the Dauphin Island. We were going to either come into the intercoastal and go in there through Gulf Shores and Orange Beach and Pensacola and come back out and down to Fort Walton. But there was a tropical storm, Henry, came right in behind it, and suddenly we were in 20-foot seas for 2 days, day and night. And that was, you just don't ever realize the power of the Gulf of Mexico until you go through that. We finally made it in, and again, I've been through them, and it makes me pay very close attention to.
Yes, sir. Well, you're the watchman.
We're seeing a record breaker right now, though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to. That was my next question. Is in all the things that you've been tracking, even since the intrigue that happened when you was a kid, all the way through your entire life tracking these. Have you ever seen anything, BP, in all the hurricanes and storms that you've been watching globally? Have you ever seen anything rapidly intensify that fast?
No, I haven't. The only storm that even came close to the speed was, I think it was Hurricane Dorian. Maybe some of your listeners, or maybe Larry, you remember that. It set over the Bahamas for 2 or 3 days, throwing in 20-foot waves. And I think it was stalled there for a reason. And I think that's what we're seeing here. Now, again, we're talking about it's approaching 184 mile per hour winds with 224 mile per hour gusts. And all of this, I said a few days ago, I'm looking for a Cat 4, maybe stronger, just because it was moving so slow over the width of the Gulf from the Bay of Campeche to Florida. Unlike what we saw with Helena, it jumped into the Gulf out of the Northern Caribbean on the 26th of September. And by the end of that day, it was moving through Florida, moving very quickly. So this one moving now, I think it's about 10 miles per hour, but it was at 6. I said, that's too long. That's a lot of warm water. This thing's going to strengthen. And I think, without being politically incorrect, that people take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Lyndon Johnson said, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, 1964-63 video,
Yes,
sir.
When after LBJ got killed, when JFK got killed, Lyndon Baines Johnson was sworn in. Then he had to go up against Barry Goldwater in the next election. And that was 64 when I was down in Louisiana during that period of time. But LBJ, Larry, have you ever seen that video, the black and white one?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
At some college, you've seen that.
I have. He was at a graduation. It was at a graduation. Yes, sir. For those that haven't seen it, tell them about it. But I have seen it. Yes, sir.
Well, it's again, I think 64 era, maybe 65. I'm not sure, but he gets this dark look in his eyes. He's got the graduation hat and cape on and all that, and he's moving his hands up and down. It reminds me of the witch on the Wizard of Oz.
Wow.
The same kind of maniacal thing, but he says, "He who controls the weather will control the earth."
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah.
And so, and there's patents. People talk about that all the time. And HAARP has been very active, especially up in Alaska. But there are now portable HAARP units that the U.S. Navy has on ships.
Okay.
And they can direct
BP.
it.
Let me stop you because what you're doing now is awesome because so many people in the live chat are asking questions about what you just went through, how you just went there. So I'm going to back you up again and then continue your thought. But my question is, and everybody else is wondering this as well, because my question about have you ever seen anything intensify that quickly? Do you subscribe to the fact that this is not climate change, like they're saying, that this was manipulated by HAARP or something else? What is your opinion of why in the world, less than 2 weeks after Helene, that this could come out of nowhere and escalate this that way? So give us your opinion, and if you want to, it's up to you to explain briefly HAARP and what you think it does, and then, of course, also your opinion on do you think this is manipulated?
Larry, it's a combination of not man-made climate change, but climate change. The Earth is warming. It's been doing it since for 13,000 years, since the younger dry ice age. We talked about that. There was, ice caps 1,000, 2,000 feet tall through Central America at that time. But so we're in a warming era. Now, they're going to say the climate change is man-made, and of course, there's some pollutants involved. And anytime you have a lot of emissions, you're going to have some. But the main thing is the climate is warming up. We're seeing the oceans heat up and everything. And I did a series of videos a few months back about the 13,000-year change, and it goes into the younger dry ice and all that. But the man-made part of this, I think, is very real because of the sudden acceleration. I think it went maybe from a tropical storm this morning to now almost a cat. Well, you don't have a cat 6, but high-end cat 5. That's very rapid. I've never seen that before.
Right.
Never seen it. And it goes back to the days. Do you guys remember before we had the internet, you could get a free hurricane tracking map you may put up on the refrigerator with a magnet. The news would give you a longitude and latitude, and that was kind of your tracking. And maybe not many people remember that, but I sure do.
Wow.
And so, but what we're seeing now is an extreme acceleration.
Yes.
I have a couple comparisons to that. One is you create a monster and then you can't control it.
Yeah. Explain that, because you was talking about Frankenstein today, about how Frankenstein turned on his creator. So, yeah, go there. That's good.
That's right. Well, and I think it goes to this, Larry, that no weapon formed against us will prosper.
Come on.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And so even though there's been devastation from Helene through Florida and up through all the Carolinas and Georgia and Virginia, Tennessee, devastation. And I think that was manipulated. It was done the same way. They had a big blob. They were watching in the Caribbean, and I think they kept hitting that button, charge it again, like the lightning bolts on the Frankenstein movie. They couldn't get it done until they started getting into the Caribbean, and the same thing happened here. And I have watched these for a long time. I've never seen that happen either. Sat there for 2 weeks in the Caribbean, and it didn't even look like a storm forming. You've been watching it more than likely.
Yes, sir.
It wasn't, I mean, I've seen it so many times. They would wait for actual rotations somewhere to even name a storm.
Yeah.
And what I've seen with the Helene and this one is they're sitting there hitting this thing until they finally get the results they want. They get the life out of the monster. Now the monster's taken over. And the weapon formed against us will not prosper because in Helene, the current administration showed their evil face.
Yeah.
Even the people that were not politically, maybe not even going to vote, are now seeing the evil side of it. So the Lord used that tool against them, even though it's a tragedy because of the lives lost. And our church here Friday is leaving out with couple trailer loads going up in that area, and that's happening everywhere.
Yes.
But again, these weapons will not prosper, and that's what we're seeing. They're trying every way they can to stop what's about to happen on November the 5th, because they know that it may be too big a rig this time.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I absolutely in agreement with you. We've covered that. We've spoken that, and I think that you were just so eloquent in speaking that. I think that there is a very obvious nefarious thing going on right now, and it's not just the potential manipulation of the actual storm. There's also the ridiculous response in the aftermath that is happening.
Yes.
And that's as disgusting as steering a storm of this magnitude. And I think I think you're exactly right, VP. I think people are waking up to what is going on, and this is forcing people to open their eyes to what is happening. Now, I have one more question for you, then I'm going to let you go. And by the way, once again, we've got BP Earthwatch live on the air, and if you're not familiar with him, I don't understand that, because he is literally on the forefront of anything like this. And of course, we're going to link down in the description. As soon as the show's over with, I'll put the link in there. If you joined us late, you have no idea the chaos of. We've never been 30 minutes late going live ever since we had a show. My computer crashed. I had to replace the computer at the last minute, everything. But we'll put the link down below as soon as this program is over with. I want you to go to his channel, subscribe to his channel, and follow him, because as this thing intensifies over the next couple of days, you're going to need trusted voices. And there's nobody more trusted than BP Earthwatch, and he's become a friend of ours. So my last thing I want to ask you, specific to this particular to this particular hurricane, is the reason that they're saying that this is so worst case scenario, so horrible, is because as you get closer to Tampa, the depth of the ocean gets dramatically more shallow, and then the water of the bay as well is going to be pushed up. Is that what they're so worried about?
Sure it is, Larry. And we saw, with if you're looking, there's a guy called JLR Investigates, and I think he has twin brothers because he's all over the nation all the time.
Wow!
But he's down in South Florida now, south of Tampa, and where they're expecting this to come in, south of actually where they're coming in. And Larry, they're cleaning up debris from 15-foot surges. This is a couple 100 miles south of where Helene came in.
Wow.
And they're in a mad rush. Governor DeSantis has made them open up all the dumps and all of that. And there's lines on the highways of dump trucks trying to clear these walls of debris in all of these coastal towns before this storm hits.
Right. So it's not blown all over the place.
It's going to be stronger.
Say that again, Sandy.
So this debris is not blown all over the place or floated all over the place, right?
Well, both. In this case, this is going to be a record-breaking storm for the U.S.
Yes.
Look, at this rapid intensification now, it's not over the deeper water yet. And that deeper water is like a battery that can hold a stronger charge, the bigger it is. And so the hot water, when you get closer to Florida, a lot of times you'll see it slow down to a 3 or 4 because the water's shallower and it takes that heat out much quicker. But it's not over that deep channel that goes out through the Florida Pass there between Cuba and Florida. And so this thing, again, it could be a record breaker. Every time I go over there, it's getting stronger. And Larry, you mentioned the computer problems you're having.
Yes.
There, a video I put up, and check it out after Larry's show.
Okay.
Is Comet Atlas is coming into view on one of the satellites. I've got pictures of it, and we're in an electric universe, and the sun affects all the weather on our planet. Every drop of rain, every breeze, everything is controlled by the sun. Mm. If it went dead, we would freeze to death in minutes. Mm. Anyway, there's a picture up. A very large comet, similar to iSun, is approaching the sun, and it threw out, because it's an electric universe, a massive coronal mass ejection not very long ago, as we were talking earlier before the show.
Yes,
and you can see that picture. So that CME is very strong, and it takes 8.2 minutes for the photon burst from a CME to hit our Earth. Now, photon is light energy, the speed of light. The photon burst will take a couple of days traveling with the coronal mass ejection. But you may have experienced that, again, photon or light energy burst. It's a very amazing image, and this thing's getting very close. So we are seeing signs in the heaven.
Did you say earlier, well, off the air before we went on the air, did you say that it is now being seen by the naked eye? Because they said originally it was not going to be able to. Tell us about that.
Right. Well, if you go to, there's one of the sites that's on our website at EARTHWATCH.com is spaceweather.com. You go down on the left side. There's a fellow in Arkansas taking pictures, beautiful images over a red horizon yesterday evening, I think it was, of Comet Atlas going through the sky. Another one I saw was going over the Eiffel Tower in Paris. But in Arkansas right now, naked eye at night, you can see this thing.
Wow.
So that more than likely you and I can too if we got clear skies.
Wow.
What direction?
This is Atlas. We haven't had one of those. You really couldn't even see iSun this good.
My
But
goodness.
several years ago, there was it Hale-Bopp that came through?
Yeah.
When the folks in California decided to suicide themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, I was out at my cabin I built out on the river, and with no light pollution, and that thing was as clear as day for several nights. I mean, this thing, I don't know if it's going to be that bright, but again, right now, it's affecting the sun, throwing out energy towards our planet that's going to increase the heat and increase these storms.
All right, Sandy's got a question.
What direction of the sky do we need to look to try to see this comet?
If you, Larry, if you can, go to spaceweather.com.
Hold this over your microphone.
You'll see that picture and see if the guy tells you the direction, but it looks like towards the sunset, which would be west.
Okay.
And the sun is almost just a red thin line, and then it becomes dark. So I'm thinking he's looking towards the west. I can't remember, but you can see that comet there.
And where is it?
More than likely, and if you look at the new image, I'm not trying to spam you, but I have the thumbnail on the new video.
Okay. Will
show that because it's close to the sun right now, you would be looking to the west, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Are you saying that it's only visible around sunset?
Well, after sunset.
After sunset.
Now, it may become visible in daylight. They're saying that if the magnitude increases, you may see it in daylight.
My goodness.
I didn't have time to send you the image that I've got on my thumbnail, but you can see the sun's reaction to the comet approaching it. And so this comet is affecting our hurricane. Storm is pulling in wind from the north, and the folks up in the Carolinas and all are going to see 40-degree weather. It's going to be even cooler down in our area. I'm in central Mississippi. I'm not exactly sure where you're at in Alabama, but suddenly the strength of Milton is pulling cold air in. And they're worried about it. Like I said, our church is sending in this Friday. We're loading up. They're loading. I'm not going, but we're helping loading up trailers and headed in that direction to try to get some warm clothing, food, water, and they're needing propane, even the small green bottles for heat and cooking. Mm-hmm. So you guys may be working on that in your area. I'm not sure, but
yes, sir.
It's affecting everything. When the sun starts going like this, we start looking at it. God is telling us.
Yes.
The people in the hurricane zones, and I've been in many, you start looking around saying, what in the world is going on?
Right, right.
You realize that life is not the comfort you think it is.
Come on.
Life is the test. Life is the test that you go through.
Wow.
So that when Christ opens that book, your name is in it. Because he's refining you. He don't want you to be lazy and watching the NFL. He wants you to be working and teaching his people in these end times. So he's getting that message out. But Larry, thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
Oh my goodness! Oh, we are just blown away that you were with us tonight. This could not have been a greater. I mean, to help me, all the chaos that I went through to get on here, to have you on here, yes. You have made this one of the best shows ever. And the people in the live chat are just loving you. And I'm so thankful that we're now connected. I'm going to definitely have you back on our show. And, I'm going to be pulling on you. And thank you for the email updates that you give us of what's going on. And we're going to stay in touch. And we're going to be watching your show. Everybody go to the Real BP Earthwatch. It will be linked down in the description right after, but you can see it on the screen there. You see the eagle there, the Real BP Earthwatch, very easy to find. And just go there and subscribe to his channel because he is on the forefront of that. So on behalf of the Big Picture family, thank you again, BP, for being with us tonight, and thank you for all you do.
Yeah. Mm.
Thank you, Larry. God bless you, and God bless everyone watching. Keep your heads up. God is talking to you.
Yes.
Amen. Amen. Good night, and God bless you, brother. Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, Sandy. BP Earthwatch was just breaking news on this chaotic show. Came in here and just laid it on the line.
Yes, he did. And not only about this hurricane, but this comet. I can't wait to watch his video.
Wow.
I saw it's a short video, less than 2 minutes long, that he did, I think, right after our show started tonight, or while we were still trying to get everything up and going. But glancing over, I've seen many comments to and about BP. We thank you guys for sticking with us, for appreciating him, for staying with us through this conversation with him. It's been amazing. Like you said, he threw a lot out there.
Well, look at this. I mean, we've got some really interesting and influential people in here. This is End Time News Network is saying, Brother Larry, I'm a Nat Cat specialist for wind engineering. Please tell everyone that the intensity models for the last 3 years have underestimated storms. Evacuate now. So people that understand what's going on, they
this was
are.
Who? What was the name again?
End Time Headlines. I'm gonna go back again and look at it. I've lost it in the live chat here.
Okay.
But
if he's still in there, I have a question that I wanted.
BP says, God bless everyone.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you again, BP, for being on here, man. What a blessing. What a blessing.
Great. So I was listening to I believe Brian Norcross today on the Fox Weather Channel. I believe he said if this hurricane undergoes a eye wall collapse and it reforms, that this storm will widen and become even larger.
Wow.
And hitting even more of the coastline when it does finally make landfall. So I guess that's another wait and see if that happens. But are we talking 20-foot storm surge? Are we in that range right now?
Last I heard was 14.
Okay, so we're not there yet necessarily.
I mean, who knows? This thing changes so quickly.
And here's another problem. Are they not already having rain?
They are. They're already having rain.
Some comments from people saying The ground is already saturated from the rain we're receiving right now. Okay, let's talk about all of this debris that is
Yeah.
sitting on the sides of the roads right in front of people's homes.
Well,
Can you imagine?
Speaking of this debris, let's just go ahead and go to this right here, because I don't know if y'all saw this earlier today, but there's debris already there from Helene
Yes.
that's not being cleaned up. And you know what the landfills did? They locked the doors and said, we're at capacity. We don't want to get to capacity. And Governor DeSantis said, you know what? Look what I'm going to do. This was late last night, and this morning, Governor DeSantis sent his trucks out there, Sandy, to the landfill, which they had abandoned the landfill. And he said, we can't have this hurricane coming in with all this debris.
And that's great, but guess what? There's no way they're even going to knock a dent in it at this late hour.
No, but at least they
can get something
They're
done.
starting to clean up today and try to get rid of the debris left over from Helene.
Can you imagine the
That's
hurricane
amazing.
winds blowing these things all over the place and the surge lifting it up and just floating it all over the place? I told you yesterday I had watched a video of a man who owns a construction dumpster company who, he's got all of his dumpsters loaded up, and then he encounters FEMA at the place he's been dumping saying, this dump is now closed. You can't dump here. FEMA is going to be providing places for people like you to dump for free, but wouldn't tell him where those places were, wouldn't allow him access to the places he had been dumping.
Wow.
And it was just, and went on as he's making calls and trying to make connections, trying to get somebody to help him, because all these dumpsters are loaded up with all this construction debris. Finally tell him, look, just go dump it back where you picked it up from the yards, and we're going to have this taken care of and straightened out within the next year.
Within the next year.
Over the next year.
Did you hear that?
Over this year. We're going to fix this problem.
Dump the stuff back in the people's yards.
Put it back in their yards, because you're not going to the public sites, and we're not going to release to you. We can't let you know yet where you're going to get to go dump it for free in these FEMA sites.
Wow. Well, I want to show a little bit of this Fox weather here, and then we're going to hit live as well. But this was earlier today, and this is just unbelievable.
It's Brian Norcross for the latest in this 5 p.m. update. Brian, I haven't had a chance to read through the discussion yet, but
this is their sort of like their expert go-to guy that's been around for years. And this is the Weather Channel. This is their version of the Weather Channel. I like this a lot better. Weather Channel is a lot more woke than Fox Weather. But I want you to listen to the tone of his voice, and this is why I chose this one. And you can see that he wants to say more than what he's saying.
I've been watching this channel almost nonstop.
Yeah.
I know you walk in and I know you're thinking, really? You're watching this again?
Yeah.
But I did miss this 5 p.m. update, so I'm anxious to see what he says.
105 millibars. It seems like each bulletin we get from the National Hurricane Center is more and more unbelievable, jaw-dropping.
Yeah, it's because of the satellite presentation and what they're seeing on the radar that since the hurricane hunters were in there last, it actually looks like it has intensified, and the very modern computer forecasts that we have anticipated it would intensify, and by the way, continue to intensify. Their forecast, it takes it to 185. The big news in the new advisory is now the entire peninsula of Florida, including southeast Florida, including the Keys, including the east coast of Florida, is all under some kind of alert, either tropical storm warnings, tropical storm watches, hurricane warnings, and storm surge warnings. And we'll get to that in more detail here in just a moment. But the idea here is this super intense hurricane, 180 mile an hour winds with 905 pressure, now picking up speed as it's moving to the east. And this area in here is like this long runway of very, very pristine conditions. So there's no reason in terms of the environment that It would seem to keep it from continuing to be super strong or intensifying a little bit more. Some of the computer models actually lower the pressure even more into the upper 800s in kind of a Hurricane Wilma kind of situation. But through this process, likely it will try and replace its eye wall, and that will expand the winds some, weaken it some, but then we'll have an opportunity.
What are you saying?
That's what I was talking about just a few minutes ago. The eye wall, reforming or whatever they call it, a collapse. But
look at that eye.
It becoming even wider. Yeah, maybe it slows down. Maybe the winds aren't quite as intense. But now the storm is wider than it was before.
Wow. Well, I'm going to go live, but you was talking about the eye. Y'all, this is. I'll chalk this real quick up. Maybe y'all need. This is not comedy, but I'll start to call it comedy relief. None of this is comedy. No. But this is a little detour before we get back into the live coverage of it. Y'all, this just randomly was reported earlier today that let's just listen. This is unbelievable. This is from a local news show here. Talking about the
intensified into a major Category 5 hurricane. Evacuation orders are already in place along the Gulf Coast, and Central Florida is in full preparation mode.
The Hurricane Hunter aircraft has to be running on fumes on the way back. They were in there so long, much longer than normal. They found pressure down, so the winds are continuing to pick up. They also found a flock of birds in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico in the eye of this hurricane.
Oh, that's what happens. They get trapped in there. And we're looking at the satellite imagery, and frame by frame, the eye is just getting more defined, larger as the system continues to intensify.
So they fly over, and there's the poor birds. They can't get out of the eye, and they're just circling. And I saw an image earlier of what they said was birds, and they're just circling in there, and that's just crazy to me that there's this eye is so big that somehow these birds are in there. There's nowhere for them to rest. And one of the images that I saw on the radar, they zoomed in on it. It was on the satellite. It was so perfectly round. You could see the blue ocean through the eye. That's how defined this eye already is. This is crazy. Eye wall replacement is what you were talking about. A lot of folks are talking about that. Poor birds. Let's jump in here and just hear what this is actually live. This is up to date right now at the time. It's at 8:17 Central.
So she's back in studio. I've been watching her all week on location. She's done.
All right. So Category 5 Milton barreling towards. Let's listen to what they're saying live on Fox Weather. Okay, and as soon as I go.
Eyes are on Tampa as we track Category 5 Hurricane Milton's arrival somewhere near the city on Wednesday. The NWS warns in their forecast discussion that should Milton stay on its course, it will be the most powerful hurricane to hit Tampa in over a century. Jennifer Hubbard, the warning coordination meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Tampa, joins us now. Jennifer, wow. I mean, Milton, an incredible storm. Let's start with your main message to Tampa as we head into this final prep window.
Main message, heed those evacuation orders and make sure if you're not in an evacuation area and are planning on staying, that you are in an incredibly secure location and you hunker down and are ready to ride this out. No one alive has really seen anything like this in this area before, so there are no corollaries to previous storms that you can make. So you want to make sure that you are prepared for several days, if not a couple of weeks of being without power, that you have plenty of food and water, medications, everything ready to go. We really have about one more day that we can get prepared for this storm before we start to see some impacts in the early part of the system.
Jennifer, I mean, you talk about how no one can pinpoint back to a recent storm. Often recency bias is what Floridians and people who live along the Gulf Coast, the East Coast, use to prepare for storms that are on the way. The forecast for Milton, it has been particularly difficult to put a finger on. Models were struggling a couple days ago. Now we're starting to see some of that consensus, but unfortunately, the window is closed. So talk about those challenges from your team's perspective, you know, trying to figure out what those worst case scenarios might be and how to get that message across.
Well, it's really trying to just state the absolute historic nature that this will bring to somewhere on the West Coast. Really making sure that everyone is just prepared for these impacts. While we don't know exactly where that landfall point may be yet, the Tampa Bay area especially needs to make sure that they are prepared and ready for this storm. Somewhere is going to see surge that is, levels that have not been seen in over a century. Our areas in the southwest of Florida that experienced Ian, those could be those same kind of levels of surge. Somewhere in this area is what the current thinking is. And so we just experienced, not even 2 weeks ago, record level flooding.
Record level. Helene, and this is going to break Helene.
In the worst hit areas with this storm are going to be potentially twice that amount.
Twice.
So,
Wow.
This is an incredibly dangerous situation that I hope everyone is taking very seriously.
Absolutely. And Jennifer, real quick, we've only got about a minute, but let's speak to those outside the evacuation zones, the storm surge threat.
Wow.
So what does that say for inland? And we have friends in Okeechobee. We have friends in Orlando.
Yeah.
We have viewers, in Tampa and other areas. Guys, if you are there on the western side,
you got a day. Do something.
Please get out. For everyone else, we're praying for you.
And see, the danger is the people in Tampa has not seen anything like this in 100 years. So they're like, nothing ever really comes here. They've threatened for so many years it's going to come, and then it turns. Y'all, I don't know. God can do anything, but I'm going to tell you something right now. It doesn't look like it's going to turn. It looks like it is headed straight for you, Tampa. And I know it hasn't happened in 100 years. But you need to heed this evacuation.
Even if it doesn't,
this is unsurvivable.
Even if Tampa doesn't get a direct hit, let's say it goes north, you're going to still be new track.
Updated.
What would BP Earthwatch? New track showing
new
Milton.
track showing Milton crossing North Tampa Bay. That's worst case scenario. That's worst case scenario. Oh my goodness. And then of course go back here real quick. This is the live shot of people trying to get out. I mean, it's moving. You got a chance to start moving. And I know it's difficult. I know it's frustrating. And I know it's a little scary to leave your possessions behind. But look at these numbers that are on here. This is live Fox Weather. They're saying, this was the old records on the right. And these were multiple different storms. And look at the years, all the way back to 1993 and 1985. And then all of those records were broken 2 weeks ago. And now they're saying this hurricane will double those records.
Right. When do you remember having a terrible storm and then on the heels of that, an even worse storm?
Never.
There's parameters here as far as the North Carolina and Tennessee area. It's horrible. I don't even know what you can compare that to. And then you have to take into account that this was a hurricane that made landfall hundreds of miles south, but yet because of the effects caused all this crazy damage in these states. But now you have another hurricane coming in right on the heels of Helene that is mind-boggling.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And
For the same area.
For the same area. And I'm seeing several people in the live chat saying that they want to get out, but they can't get out.
Sure.
They can't afford to get out. I am praying, just as some people are saying, churches, homes, people will open up their homes. That's what happened with Katrina. I mean, a lot of people got transferred with Katrina.
They got transplanted to some even to our area because they came this far north to escape the storm and ended up staying. 15-foot storm surge showing for Tampa. It will be 20, BP says.
And you mentioned Okeechobee earlier. Okeechobee, we have friends that live in Okeechobee. We've been there, preached down there before, and we stayed there, went out on Lake Okeechobee, which is a crazy lake, y'all. I mean, this lake is massive. It's the second largest freshwater lake in the continental U.S., and I think the deepest it is like 12 feet. 12 to 15 feet, something like that on a good day. But when a hurricane comes through there, it's so shallow, it just takes all that water and just pushes it. And they've had some very catastrophic events. And
yes, they had their own very serious tragedy. Was it in the 1920s?
yes,
So many people.
There's like a
And
monument there too. There's so many
Sean
people.
I did see the video of what you're talking about. Someone asked Alexa.
Yeah, we saw that.
Did you watch that as well?
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they asked Alexa to report on how many lives was lost, and they were already talking about on Alexa as if it was already happened.
Well, I don't know how many hours ago this was, but Alexa said that Milton was a Category 5 and it caused a lot of damage.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Before it ever happens.
Before it was a Category 5, for sure.
Unbelievable. But, as we were talking with BP, we were talking about how, the tragedy of, is this manipulated? And if it is manipulated, then the evilness that it takes to do that, because it's not just destroying structures that you will then come in and grab the land, but it's lives. It's people.
Lives.
It's not only ending people's lives,
Yes.
but it's in the natural.
Yes.
But it's also destroying their livelihood and any chance they ever have for
Well, if you
any
want
kind of
to
life.
use an even more serious, more harsh term, you would call it weather warfare. And
Right.
it does feel like we're under attack, right?
Yeah.
86 or 80 something substations have been either seriously damaged or completely destroyed
Wow.
north of us in the Carolinas.
And we reported Monday night on the show that the reason that they're now saying it's going to take so much longer to rebuild those substations is we sent all the transformers to Ukraine.
Right.
I mean, we literally are rebuilding the infrastructure and the power grid of Ukraine, but while we can't rebuild it here. And you really want to make your blood boil? Look at this one right here. I saved this one for you. This one right here is unbelievable. It says breaking FEMA's disaster relief fund monthly. This is the record here. You can't see it. It's real tiny print, but it says that it reported in September of 2024. That's last month. It spent $4 billion on the WAWA. What? Billions of dollars are being spent on a WAWA pandemic that has been over for years, while Helene victims are struggling and getting $750.
Right.
But we are still spending $4 billion in a month.
It says the most of any month since October of 2023. So in the last year. Yeah, that's interesting.
What? I mean,
we could
have some evil
sit
people
here and just go all night long of the outrage we should all have that we can provide everything the newcomers need, but we can't provide federally hardly anything for these people who have had all this damage and all this loss. Not only that, we can't allow the volunteers, the people in the community,
Say that.
the people in the other parts of the country
Come on, babe.
who are sending money, who are bringing trailer loads full of supplies or trying to fly them in helicopters. We can't even allow them to move these things around. They have to be stopped. I've heard they've been confiscated and sent to sanctuary cities and places where I don't dislike the newcomers, but it's not right when people are stuck in their homes because of this hurricane in the mountains of the Carolinas and they can't get any help. But yet we will confiscate items that come in to take them to sanctuary cities.
Yeah. So shout out to Tabby Monday night when we were talking about that $750. She was saying it was a loan, and it's been multiple times it's been verified. She sent me the verification. Many of you are saying that as well. Y'all, it's a loan. It's $750 loan that if you have insurance, they expect to be paid back by your insurance. And And there's even stipulations in there in some situations where they can seize your property.
Yeah, there you go.
For $750.
$750.
Let's watch this right here. Let's just go ahead and get even madder. Can we get madder?
Yes.
Let's just go ahead and get even more mad.
Carolina, people are reporting nonstop offers to sell their property for cash. At the same time, there's only one way in and one way out, and nobody's allowed to move. On top of that, trucks carrying aid and supplies are getting their tires slashed so they can't even get through. I mean, it's getting real, really fast. But that sounds very familiar. I mean, look at what happened in Maui. Residents there were pressured to sell their land after the fires, and now Asheville is going through the same twisted playbook. Why? Because North Carolina isn't just sitting on regular land. No, it's sitting on gold, the richest supply of lithium in the world for batteries and the purest quartz for the 530 billion microchip industry. And all of that, it's right under the area being hit. Residents are being asked to sell their properties, aid is being blocked, and the whole situation reeks of something bigger than a natural disaster, just based on the evidence that we've seen. And just like in Maui, people are caught in the middle of a mess that feels far too deliberate.
We'll more than double EV penetration in the U.S. from 2021 to 2023. Every EV needs a battery. They all need lithium. So there's been demand. What the IRA in particular is
tremendous shortages of lithium chemicals that the battery and car companies need to produce all the electric cars they want to produce. These shortages are likely to last for years and years. I think well into the 2030s.
That's the CEO of Piedmont Lithium, which happens to be one of the biggest lithium mining companies in the world. And as you just saw, the man keeps preaching to every news outlet that we need more lithium to make more batteries. Now, back in 2022, he said that our hope is that we'll be in production in North Carolina in 2026, and we will be fully permitted and approved and funded sometime in 2024. And it's
approved and funded sometime in 2024 is what they were hoping, Sandy.
So
in North Carolina.
We had heard just the beginning whisperings of this lithium and quartz when we went on the air last week for the show, when I had my 10-minute rant that
which was epic.
That evolved into a cry.
Y'all, you need to go back and watch it. It was epic.
But listen, what I said then is true. They don't care about you. They don't care about the people. They want the land. We didn't understand fully. We didn't know then what we know now. Why do they want the land? Well, hello. Now we know.
Now we know. So then the question is, what are we going to see by Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then next week in Florida? You know, Florida is a very, very influential Republican state now. It used to be purple, you know, and could go either way. It used to be called a swing state. It's not even a swing state anymore. It's a Republican or leaning Republican all the time. So a lot of people are saying, will these people, we're so close to the election now, will they be able to vote?
Right.
And think about this. If you have to choose between standing in a long line to vote or standing in a long line to get water and food for your family,
right?
Which one are you going to choose?
So how many days away are we till the election at this point?
I don't know.
It's got to be
my math is
30,
not great.
Right around 30, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little less than 30.
Less than 30, probably.
Today's the 7th. So election's on the 5th?
The 5th, yeah. But they're already voting.
Already voting.
They're already voting in multiple states.
But, okay, we're not just talking about damage and loss of power for the coast. My question from earlier, how far inland? How far in? Because what is the state of Florida? 90 miles across?
I'm not sure. Probably a little bit more than that, but
how far inland are people going to lose their power?
Well, they're saying it's going to be a minimum category 2 when it crosses Orlando and exit the state on the eastern side as still a category 1. And this is one of the things I heard today too, is the wind is projected and the waves are projected to be the wind very strong coming out of the east. So when it crosses out as a Category 1, the winds are going to catch the water and surge it back again, even on the east side as a Category 1.
This is unbelievable. It's like with Helene, almost everything that could go wrong went wrong, whether it happened on the Florida coast or as it continued up into North Carolina, Tennessee, and all of those states. Georgia, let's not forget Georgia. They had their own damage. What didn't happen in Florida, it just continued to unfold as it moved northward.
Exactly.
And I just want to listen. I have been thinking about this and thinking about this and thinking about this. The way some of this damage happened in North Carolina and other areas, but north of Georgia, in that whole region, we know that there was some dam failures, right?
Yeah.
Is it outside the realm of possibility to say, what if those dams had some help in having failure?
Sandy, my answer to you is
because the damage
there is nothing out of the realm of
was
possibility.
so complete. I don't think, and I've watched hours and hours and hours of interviews and coverage and on location video and pictures. The devastation is so crazy. I mean, I'm sure you're all hearing there are still bodies in trees that they can't get out. Yeah. There are still bodies in houses that they can't remove. There's a shortage of body bags, and, you know, these morgues and these recovery teams, they don't have a place to put the bodies, and bodies
it's horrible.
Half buried in this mud and rubble, and there's just this crazy, horrible stench of death in certain areas. I mean, it makes me think that the existing body count is not correct, and the estimation of what it will end up being is far
I couldn't believe
from what we're being told.
Okay, so Melody asked a couple of quick questions. She said she made a statement that if what happened in North Carolina on that level happens in Florida, there's a question of whether there even be election. And now she's saying they've ordered over 3,000 body bags. I will say this: just before I left the house this morning to come to the office, I had I can't remember what, I think it was News Nation or something on, and I couldn't believe they let this person say this. There was a worker, a support worker. I don't believe she was from FEMA, but she was on the ground in North Carolina, and she said on the air live, and I could tell that it surprised the reporter. She said, she got emotional, and she said, we have just simply run out of body bags, and we need the government to send us more body bags.
Was she the blonde lady?
I think so. And when she said that, I was like, I cannot believe they let her say that, or she said it and she's in trouble, because they're trying to downplay that. But that's what I'm hearing from a lot of different people, is that, you know, of course now they're trying to say it's all conspiracy, that, you know, you guys are hindering what we're trying to do because it's really good what we're doing. Of course, you know, Biden getting on the plane. Hey, how do you feel like the people are? What kind of response are you getting? Oh, they're happy. They're getting everything they want, and they're happy. Yes. They're not happy, and they're not getting everything they want.
That's a good comment, BP. I think that what these people are dealing with and what's happened to them, it probably does feel like that for them.
It does feel like so.
I wish I had saved the a portion of a video that I heard. A lady was in an airport. Some of you have heard this. She said, we were in an area where there were some official people coming in, and we could overhear what they were saying. And one of the things, now this is all supposedly, but that they supposedly said is, hey, because they were talking freely amongst themselves. They didn't know that this lady, you know, was close enough to hear them. But one of the things they supposedly said is, hey, you can probably add a couple of zeros to the number of deaths that are happening in this area, meaning North Carolina and in that region. I mean, if for the damage that I am seeing where the road has become scoured to the point that it looks like a dry riverbed, and the number of houses that flooded down the river, there have got to be thousands of cars, thousands of cars that have been just basically rendered useless, either from being churned in the water and turned over and over, and they're pummeled down to where they look like they've been crushed, to those that have just been filled with water and are still sitting to the side, to all the probably hundreds of thousands of trees knocked down, pushed over, the mudslides, the way the mud slid down these hills and took homes and trees and cars and sadly people. I'm thinking, okay, we understand about rain and flood water, but this looks like something that happened with such so quickly and with such force, like a dam breaking. Okay, yes. But did that dam break just from the water? Because I've watched these images over and over and over, and I'm thinking, this happened so fast. The number of people that never heard anything or even had a chance to get outside of their home, how could we even calculate?
Yeah, so you're that's a great point, because I'm thinking about this one particular video on the interstate where that guy's got a dash cam, and people, it's raining, the wind's blowing a little bit, but the interstate is still full, and it's not bumper to bumper like trying to evacuate. They're still trying to move around, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you know which one video I'm talking about? It just comes down off the hill and just barely misses the car, takes an 18-wheeler.
Yes.
And you're right. It's like that is just so fast. You would think that if floods are coming, you would have had some kind of warning.
And this was, they look like they might be senior citizens. They must have had some indication, because the man is driving, the lady is, I guess, using her cell phone to make video, and you see one or two little plops of mud on the windshield. Well, all of a sudden, she turns around, and that's when the hill just slides down. It broke their rear window. Mud was all in their car. I saw an interview with both of them talking afterward. They're okay. They weren't hurt or anything, but they were seconds from possible death.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's unbelievable. Well, look, we're talking about the political side of it, and you win North Carolina, you win the presidency, especially for Donald Trump. If Donald Trump does not win North Carolina, many people do not believe he's going to win the election. But look at this, in-person voting to begin in North Carolina, October 17th, despite storm damage.
And that's great. That's great. But how many people can actually show up?
Exactly. And that's the premise of what we're saying here. With just 10 days until in-person early voting begins in North Carolina, the State Board of Election voted unanimously to pass a resolution to assist with voting in the 13 most hard-hit counties. Since Hurricane Helene first came ashore on the 26th, more than 230 lives, and of course we know that number is way, way low, have been across 6 different southeastern states, with many remaining missing. Damage estimates from the storms in the tens of billions, probably hundreds of billions, over 100 billion. But the premise of this is we will begin early voting in 100 counties in 10 days from now, and we will hold the election on November 5th in all 100 of those counties. We have a dedicated team of election professionals across the state who are committed to making that happen. Well, that all sounds great, but what you just said is so true, is that, how are they going to get there? And the reality is this: there are people in North Carolina in different areas up in those woods. They don't even know what day it is.
They can't move.
There's no communication.
The roads are completely blocked with trees. Power lines are down. It's crazy. Did you see the what Glenn Beck did today?
Yes, tell them about that. Yeah.
Well, I didn't see the entire thing. I only had time to watch just a short bit of it. But he was challenging this FEMA worker who had just shown up and was trying to set up, and he was the FEMA guy was saying, "Yeah, look, we're going door to door," and he's like, "Some of these people don't have doors.
Wow,
they don't have homes," and they're like, "Hey." he was challenging Glenn on, the communication aspect. And he said, these people, they're getting the word. They can go to their car and charge their cell phone, listen to their radio, and hear what's going on. I mean, it was just ridiculous, as if, everybody can't do that because they don't have a car. If they've not had power and they don't have a car, their cell phone is not going to work, even if there's communication that is actually working, because we know that cell phone communication has been a big problem because so many towers have been damaged. But it's just crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. And it's hard for me to buy and believe the line that they're trying to sell us of how all this happened.
Yeah.
I don't think it played out exactly as we are being told.
I mean,
what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing are not lining up.
No, I did the unthinkable thing, went over to the Weather Channel, woke Central, and watched it. And just so happened they were explaining just how this happened in the mountain region. And they had a real good explanation. They had diagrams and everything, how the mountains cause this certain thing to happen to pull the moisture in and all this. Oh, please. Let me tell you, there have been major storms go over the Appalachian Mountains region before.
Sure. Nothing
has ever turned those mountains into funnels like that did, that fast. I'm talking about people did not have time to react.
No.
This is two, not one, two storms that catapulted in intensity. And I am so sick.
And we know that it was raining. What do they call it? Predecessor event when it has raining,
saturating the ground,
saturating before,
which is happening in Tampa too right now. Tampa is pre-saturating as well.
So which is horrible. We've seen the stories of people were on their roofs and their house become dislodged and they start floating down the river. We've heard the stories of people were still in their homes as they start inside the home. As it started floating down. Now, what does that say to you? Yeah, I can see you, sheltering in place as you're watching the water rise, but you're telling me you stayed in the home long enough to watch it pick your house up and start floating it down the river? That doesn't make sense to me. It seems like you would have gotten out and ran up the hill or something. That sounds to me like it just came on so fast. You didn't have time to react.
So good point, BP. Starlink, which has been amazing. Elon Musk has really saved a lot of lives through this. Internet is now available in the Southeast. Power outages do not stop the satellites. So if you have a solar backup, you can keep connected. So this is something to think about in the future. Yeah. They even makes a mini Starlink now. I didn't even know that you can travel with, and one of them is even called a backup internet. And instead of paying the full price, you can sort of have a reserve for events like this to where if everything else goes down, you've got this little tiny Starlink that can work. So that's pretty amazing. He's gone in, and if you haven't known this, he went in and took several thousand Starlink and put them free for the first 30 days and went ahead and activated them and let them start distributing them in different places.
Well, I hope he doesn't get stopped.
BP says he's got one. I'm going to get one. But look, I want to show you this right here, going back to the election thing. This is from Yahoo News. It says voters in North Carolina and Georgia have bigger problems than politics. Helene changed everything. Almost like it was planned to change everything. Exactly. But listen to what it says here. It says, talking about some of the victims here, he was on his way to help a friend who lost much of what he owned when Hurricane Helene blew through last weekend. His friend across other western North Carolina is starting over, which explains why Farrington isn't thinking too much about politics or the White House race between Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Kamala Harris right now. Quote, I don't believe people's hope is in either people that are being elected. Basically, what this premise is saying is they're predicting whether this is going to happen or not. I personally think the Trump voters are going to be so determined, they're going to find a way. But this article is basically saying that they're openly admitting that these two disasters are going to change people, rightfully so, to prioritize their lives. I mean, the truth is, if November 5th came and a tornado came through Alabama, which is very common. Tornadoes are our big thing. And it destroyed our hometown, or destroyed my home, which I speak in the name of Jesus, it would never happen. And it was November 5th. And I had a choice to take care of you, my kids and my grandkids, and my house, or go vote. I would not go vote. And I think that's what they're counting on, is that people are going to say, I choose water, I choose food, I choose this, signing up for this, instead of going to vote. But what I hope happens is people realize, as difficult as it is, you need to vote, because can you imagine this country if you come out of this on the backside with nobody standing up for you?
No. And I like that they're doing this, trying to help. I mean, every little bit helps, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we can, bridge the gap and make up the difference here in spite of this terrible thing that's happened.
Well,
and that's just for that area. That doesn't say anything for the help that Florida may need to be able to vote.
Yeah, well, that $750 is going to take care of it. But look at this guy right here. Y'all, if y'all follow politics, y'all know David Axelrod. Listen to what he says about MAGA voters in North Carolina. I mean, how brazen do you have to be to say what he's about to say? Listen to this.
Here's my question about North Carolina. You had these killer storms, which, by the way, was a third big story this week.
Yes,
these
another
storms. And there's a lot of displacement in western North Carolina. Now, Asheville is a blue dot in that area, but there are a lot of Republican voters
Asheville's
there.
key.
But those voters in Asheville are they're the kind of voters who will figure out a way to vote. They're upscale, kind of liberal voters. And
so Asheville's a very liberal city. It's a very Democrat city. So I want to back it up. I want you to hear how he compares the voters in Asheville to the voters in the mountains. This is how they feel about you.
They're upscale, kind of liberal voters, and they're probably going to figure out a way to vote. I'm not sure a bunch of these folks who've had their homes and lives destroyed elsewhere in western North Carolina in the mountains there are going to be as easy to wrangle for the Trump campaign.
I mean, what a statement. I mean, he basically openly said the liberals are smart enough to find a way in Asheville to vote, but those country bumpkins up in the mountains that to support MAGA, I don't know if they're going to be able to figure out a way to get there to vote.
Yeah,
unbelievable the brazenness that they're using right now.
Exactly, but we're hearing more and more people just come on out and say the quiet part out loud lately, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, and it's almost like they realize that we're running out of time. Because Orange Man cometh. Orange Man cometh.
The Orange Man cometh.
But look, Sandy, we have gone an hour and 22 minutes into this show on one subject. On one subject. This is amazing.
This is the second reason why you deserve an Emmy tonight.
Thank you. I give myself a hand. Oh, wait a minute. That ain't my hand. Okay, but maybe I need to dance. Y'all, come on. We need a break. Woo! We need a break. Come on, y'all, dance with us.
I didn't know you had that on there.
I didn't either. I don't know how I got there.
Not full of surprises. Yeah.
I'm bringing it over. Take it. Take it. Bring it back.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
Okay.
I think we needed that. I think we.
Yeah.
Whew.
You did, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
That was good.
All right. So we're back. We're back to the real world. We just took a little break there. Y'all needed it. Tonight's entire show, Sandy, has received, as you said, the Golden Chicken Award. But let's get serious again. Let's get serious because a very, very serious thing is, and we're going to hit this very quickly, is
couldn't wait, apparently.
Yeah. It is. This is a big thing because today is 1 year to the day of October 7th. And we covered this when it first happened. I cannot believe it's already been a year. But today is the anniversary, what we, like our 9/11, this is Israel's 9/11. This is October 7th,
Yes.
which, of course, has launched into major wars that have happened all over the Middle East. And many people believe the beginning of World War III. But the Islamic massacre on October 7th, 1 year ago today, advanced the global jihad to eradicate Jews and conquer the West. And there's, some tough pictures to see here, and these are some of the kinder pictures that you try to get online. But so let's not forget that this was the try to word it so don't get flagged, the deadliest mass unaliving of Jews since the Holocaust. Approximately 1,200 people were taken from this world in cold blood, and were killed, 36 children, together with 373 soldiers and policemen, 1,139 people. This included unborn children, infants, mothers, fathers, the elderly, and even Holocaust survivors. Among those were 32 from the United States, 30 from France and many other countries such as Thailand, Great Britain, and Germany. And they are still holding hostages. Many of them are believed to not be here anymore, but they're holding their bodies. This is a video that was made about all those that was at the outdoor event that was so horrible. But y'all, we can't forget it. And so what has happened since then? Israel today paused the fighting briefly to commemorate this, but Israel paused Monday to observe the anniversary of the terror attack on October 7th, 2023. And it says, in the years since, Israel has smashed the Hamas terrorist organization in Gaza, began uprooting Hezbollah terrorists from the northern border, destroyed facilities in Yemen of the Houthi rebels, and threatened Iran itself with attack. It says Israelis cannot move on past October 7th, while there are still roughly 100 hostages being held by Hamas a year later. Though some 34 are believed to no longer be here, many are thought to be alive. Public ceremonies and demonstrations on Monday in Israel stressed the need to bring the hostages home, whether through a diplomatic deal or, if possible, by military rescue. At the same time, Israel is far stronger than it was a year before. Hamas managed to fire a handful of rockets towards central Israel on Monday, a year after it had launched thousands. It has lost tens of thousands of its fighters. Most of its leaders are dead, and 24 battalions of Hezbollah is in disarray, and it can no longer threaten the communities surrounding Gaza. Hezbollah, which began firing at Israel's northern communities on October 8th, has been decapitated. It can still fire rockets sporadically, but it no longer is capable of mounting the massive barrage Israelis once feared. Israeli soldiers are advancing through southern Lebanon, making a mockery of Hezbollah's pretenses as the defenders of Lebanon. The Houthi rebels of Yemen have fired hundreds of missiles and projectiles towards Israel. They have also crippled international shipping, thanks to the weakness of the current administration in Washington, which delisted the Houthis as terrorists in 2021 and has adopted a defensive posture. But Israel has twice attacked Houthi facilities, making them pay a price. So the article basically is illustrating that it was the most horrific time in the history of the nation there since 1948 that's ever happened since they were returned to their homeland, and the second worst ever since the Holocaust. But they have used this, whether you are a supporter or not a supporter of Israel, how you believe it started. There's a lot of conspiracies on that. But the reality is this, whatever, they've taken advantage of it. And I think that they have really decimated a lot of their enemies' attempts to be able, or abilities to be able to do things to them.
Right.
But at the same time, I believe that we're on the verge of a greater war that's going to go beyond that. And and we have said on this show, and we'll say again tonight, that we believe that they feel like they're running out of time, and they've got to do what they've got to do.
Yeah. So Iran, are they in another one of their pauses right now?
Yeah.
So we don't know. I mean, I'm sure Israel has a good idea of what they're going to do next, but we sit here and we wait. We watch and wait.
Yep. We watch and we wait. We watch and we wait. Well, Sandy, in all of the chaos of if you came in late, you have no idea.
If you came in late, normally the show would be ending right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not tonight.
I hold in my hands an entire computer.
Yes.
You remember when Steve Jobs, the motto of this logo was Apple, it just works. Unless you are a watchman on the wall calling out the woke agenda of the world and get put on the list with the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, the algorithms of all the social media platforms, and they all want to throttle you and shut you up and keep you from saying the truth, then guess what? This thing does not work. Not to mention you fighting devils and demons and y'all, this is my computer that I've been using here for this show ever since it started. Decided tonight that it was going to try to mock me. Mm-hmm. But you know what I did? It took me 30 minutes to do it.
You replaced it with another one just like it.
No, it's bigger. It's the double size. It's the real good one. I ran into my office, unplugged everything, came in here frantically plugging in cables left and right.
It was frantic. I wish you could have been here to see it.
So it was an event. Yeah, hey, people are saying smash that like button. Smash
Please
it. Come on, show some love tonight. Smash it, smash it, smash it.
But just once.
Yeah, gently smash it once. Gently. Can you gently smash something? Gently smash it once. And only once, because if you smash it twice, you just unsmashed it. So only like it one time. And subscribe. We need some new subscribers tonight. I need to have a Lion King moment. I need to feel the love tonight. Was that Lion King?
Yes.
Okay. I was making sure it wasn't Titanic. For some reason, I think it's Titanic. Y'all want a little bit of comedy relief? Let's do it. Oh, Kamala. Is it Kamala or Kamala? Or am I going to get in trouble? Kamala? No, you can't say Kamala. It's Kamala. It's Kamala. Okay. So Kamala, she ain't done no interview with anybody. But she decided to go on this podcast. Y'all, I don't even know how much of this I can read. So the candidate for Democrat for the presidency of the United States of America will not sit down with Fox News or anybody that's going to ask her any kind of difficult question. She's never had a press conference, ever. Okay? She goes on some podcast that I've never heard of that's supposedly second and popular only to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is number 1, and this is number 2. Wow. Never heard of it.
Never heard of this.
Never heard. It's called Call Her Daddy. I don't even want to know what that means.
I'm sensing trouble already.
Yeah, I don't even want to know what Call Her Daddy is about. But Call Her Daddy host asked Kamala Harris why she decided to hear her vulgar podcast, but not do substantial interviews.
Yeah, how about that?
Let's just listen.
I'm curious, you don't do too many long form interviews. What made you want to do Call Her Daddy today?
Well, I think you and your listeners have really got this thing right, which is one of the best ways to communicate with people is to be real, and to talk about the things that people really care about. I mean, what I love about what you do is that your voice and your show is really about your listeners.
Definitely sus, right?
And I think especially now, this is a moment in the country and in life where people really want to know they're seen and heard and that they're part of a community. That comment
she said, people
that they're not out there alone.
That's the last thing she wants to do, isn't it?
And so I'm really glad to be with you.
All right, so a little bit about this show.
Mm-hmm.
Call Her Daddy host Alex Cooper is notorious for explicit interviews with workers. No wonder why Kamala Harris wasn't. Okay, she asked Kamala Harris why she hasn't done too many interviews. I'm curious, blah, blah, blah. We just read that. Okay. So, here's another clip.
Why should we trust you?
So I'll say this. Look, you can look at my career to know what I care about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. One more.
Is she wearing those earrings? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I do too. One more.
Outrageous, I mean, daddy gang, to put it in our TikTok terms. I have seen girls on the street walk up to men and be like, do you know where a tampon goes? Do you know how many tampons we use? Do you even know how, do you know what a X or Y or Z is of a part of our, and they don't know the answer.
I was the first vice president or president to ever in office go to a reproductive health care clinic, ever.
Abortion clinic. Y'all, what is happening?
Let's read this right here by Stephen Miller.
Okay. He says she will never protect you. She will never protect your family. She will never be taken seriously by world leaders. She will never be anything more than an instrument for unelected power with its own agenda. Y'all, this show, I cannot show you the list of the 6, just the 6, I saw it today, the 6 previous episodes on this show. And this is what the sitting candidate for the Democratic Party chose to go on and be interviewed.
Chose to do.
Sandy, they were about toys, about thruples, about how to successfully cheat on your spouse. How to, these are how to bring in another person into your relationship. I mean, and these are the PG-13 words I'm saying. They're some of the titles I'm talking about in the last 6 shows had vulgar F words, all different kinds of words that I can't even say. I can't even say the first letter to say
in
this
their
word.
Titles?
In the titles. And in the descriptions, it was how to do this, how to do that, how to successfully do this, how to. I mean, and this is what she went on. And the answer that she gave, why you don't do substantive interviews, why did you choose to come on Call Your Daddy? Well, because I think that what you're doing is glorious and that you're speaking to the people. And y'all, what is happening?
Yeah.
This is look right above it. I don't have to say it. Read. If you're listening, it's a something podcast. That's what it's about. Right. That's what this is about. Right. So then when I hear that, I don't want to say too much, but then I start thinking about Call Her Daddy. What does that mean?
Remember, this is supposed to be a family show.
Yes. I don't know what that means.
Wow. So
why did you go on there?
So
Kamala?
These are the pillars of society that are viewing this.
Yes.
The viewership. Okay. All right. So this is basically a podcast, though.
Yeah, but it's a video podcast.
Okay.
It's a video podcast. They're all video podcasts now, like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's podcast was a video podcast.
Wow. I don't even know. I don't even think I want to talk about this anymore.
I don't think I do.
Can we just move on?
Well, we can move on. Sandy, I want you to know that it's been an honor tonight to be on the show with you, and I believe that it's been epic.
It has been epic.
It's been epic. So can we award the gift one more time? Go ahead.
So for tonight's Golden Chicken Award, we award it to the entire show.
Which has never been done.
It's never been done before.
In the history of the big picture.
I wish you could have been a part of the pre-show.
Oh, my goodness. Why did you not video all that?
I don't know. That was also epic, but possibly even more epic. But if all your pets are in the room with you or nearby. The entire show was a Golden Chicken Award tonight.
And if you were blessed at all tonight and you want to be a part of it, oh, by the way, we got our cameras in.
Yes.
And we're getting ready to build our brand new studio. So in the next couple of weeks, everything's going to look different. It's going to be awesome.
And you will be so happy when you get home to see that I have been clearing out the room for the studio.
Yes, we're building the studio within the next couple of weeks. Got the cameras, got the lighting coming in, and it's going to take everything to a new level, y'all. We got some huge guests coming up that's going to be on the program.
So if you can help support us, we have got to get this thing finished. So
yes,
if you can support us at all,
and thank you to all those that already have, because we wouldn't be able to do this without you.
Yes.
We'll see you next time, and watch this right here and show you how you can help us. And we'll see you next time. And we always want to remind you, we ain't woke, but we are certainly awake. God bless.
Would you like to help us build the big picture family? We're on a mission to wake up the world to what is really going on. All you have to do is go to our website at LarryRagland.com and make a one-time gift, or you can become a monthly partner. Any amount is a blessing and an encouragement to us. While you're there, make sure you get a copy of our book, I See Greatness in You. Browse our merchandise store, connect with us on our social media links, and join our mailing list. We appreciate it. And remember, we ain't woke, but we are certainly awake.